Hello everybody, welcome to Georambles here in Monaco. Monaco, that's right. It is one of the smallest countries in the world. By area, the second smallest country in the world. And the first is? That's right, Vatican City. And in terms of population, it's also one of the smallest in the world. Monaco is a microstate that has only about 40,000 people. Although in the summer, as we're in now, the late summer, it swells to at least double that in terms of tourists and so on. As I say, Monaco is a microstate. It's actually a principality, and it's surrounded by France, as it were, here on the south coast of France and very close to the Italian border as well. It actually became an independent principality in the late 1200s and was then part of the French Empire until the 1800s and became fully independent sometime after that. And it is in fact a democracy. It has a parliament, but it also has a monarchy, and at the moment Prince Albert II is the monarch here, and there's some very famous monarchs, princes and princesses that have come from Monaco. But Monaco is best known perhaps for the fact that it is the garden, the place of pleasure of the super elite across the world, particularly in Europe, and people have been coming here to have their very wealthy holidays, as it were, and to moor their fantastic boats for a number of centuries. People from Paris and then now from across the world. As you can see here, we've got some super yachts. There's a yacht over there that has the flag of Tuvalu, for example. It's not from Tuvalu. What happens is that yachts are often, for all sorts of reasons of taxation and everything, they're flagged in other countries, and there are a number of different countries here. In the foreground you've got smaller vessels, and they all seem to have the Monaco flag on them. They seem to be locals boats which people take out onto the Mediterranean behind us here. So the monarchies, as it were, speak Italian, and there's also a local dialect as well. But you'll hear here French, you'll hear Spanish, you'll hear a lot of English as well. Because in terms of the economy is based on principally two things really. The first is tourism. And that tourism, as you can kind of see behind you, people mooring their boats and generally speaking, thousands of people visiting this principality, which is surrounded by the beautiful hills and gives easy access to the Mediterranean Sea, and of course to the Alps towards the north and down to the Côte d'Azur towards the west. So tourism is very important. But the second important thing is it's a tax-free haven, and like a number of microstates around Europe, like Liechtenstein, like Andorra, and across the world, banking here is relatively unregulated. It's often been very controversial because people have deposited money that has come from sources that would otherwise be outlawed, for example. And in recent times there have been a number of exposures leading to people and certain persons depositing money in Monaco, those that are on blacklists internationally. For example, at the moment, Russian oligarchs, for example. So Monaco's under the spotlight for that. But it makes an enormous amount of money out of that, enormous amount of money. And of course, related to that as well is gambling here as well, which is really part of the tourist economy more than anything. And that makes a fortune too. So there are three principal components of the economy. And as a consequence, Monaco is the third richest state in the world. About 120,000 US dollars per person, per capita, per year, according to the United Nations. It's the 168th largest in terms of the size of the economy, but in terms of the average amount of wealth that each, or income that each individual has, it makes it the third largest. It also rates as the place with least poverty in the world, and also obviously a very high standard of living. So microstates, these microcosms of little holes really, little holes in the great blanket of globalization, where you can kind of escape certain regulations and so on, provide ample avenues for the exploitation really of that lack of regulation, and lead to the accumulation of super wealth. And of course the rich and famous come here. Joan Collins is apparently just down the coast in her yacht. For those of you who don't know Joan Collins, ask your dad, or your granddad perhaps. And the Rolling Stones moored here, I think, when they were recording in the south of France, for example. So very interesting. So thank you very much for listening to Georambles here in Monaco, in Monte Carlo.